So, Vite, today we're going to do just a small chunk of the next section. But what we're mainly going to talk about is this part that's skipped. So, where we left off, Aeneas is sleeping the night that they thought they won the war. They brought the Trojan horse into the city. Unbeknownst to Aeneas, while he is sleeping, the Greeks have entered the city. And Hector, the ghost of Hector, who has already passed, comes to Aeneas and tells him to flee. The enemy has the walls, and that it is your fate to build new city walls for your people. So Aeneas wakes up and he does not listen to Hector's advice initially. He gets together with other Trojans and they fight the Greeks, and I will say that like parts of this. So we skip from 297 to 559. Parts of this used to be on the AP curriculum, and um, it's upsetting that they took it out because it's a really great scene. But anyway, so he meets up with other Trojans. They fight some Greeks. They even put on Greek armor at one point to try and ambush other Greeks. But then tragically, other Trojans think they're Greek and fire arrows at them and kill a few of them. And then Aeneas winds up on the rooftops and he goes to the palace of the king, King Priam. All right. And so he's about 80 years old and he witnesses Priam's death. So he's on the rooftop and he can kind of witness the scene. And it's been covered in a lot of artwork. But this is Priam. He's about 80 years old. And what happens basically is this guy here is self-proclaimed to be Achilles' son. He goes by two names, Pyrrhus and Neoptolemus. And he bursts into the palace. A classic epic simile occurs where he's compared to a snake that has just molted and got rid of his skin and is fresh and ready to attack. And even the verbiage is like he's winding through the halls of Priam's palace like a snake slithers, and he bursts through the door and he kills Priam's son. I kind of forget his name. He's he's a prince of Troy, but he's not one of the more famous ones. Kills Priam's son. All the women are huddled up. That's probably his wife Hecuba, and um, they have this like interesting dialogue where Priam says, "No son of Achilles would ever kill the son of a father and do such horrible things." And Pyrrhus says, um, "Well, you can be the first to tell him about my horrible deeds." Meaning, he's about to enter the underworld where Achilles is. Achilles is dead at this point, and Priam can be the first to tell him about how terrible his son is, and then he kills him. So it's a great dialogue you can imagine in like a modern movie, and that's the end of Priam. He even tries to put his armor on at one point, and he's like shaking because he's so old, and it's a really cool scene. You can see Troy burning in the background here, but the version that Virgil tells is kind compared to the some of the ancient Greek sources. And take a look at this. This is a lot. A lot of mythology artwork is done on pottery in ancient Greece, and in a couple different versions of the story, this is Achilles' son Pyrrhus, and this is Priam here. And so Hector, who's already dead at this point, had a son. His name was Astyanax, and he was just a little boy. And in this depiction, he is beating Priam to death with the body of Hector's son. So yeah, That's a version that is included in a couple different recounts of the tale in ancient Greece, and pretty brutal, pretty graphic. So I apologize, but most of the versions have of Astyanax have him being thrown from the walls of Troy, either by Odysseus or by this guy Pyrrhus or Neoptolemus, Achilles' son. So pretty brutal, and that's that for Priam, the king of Troy. So as soon as he sees his death, that's where we pick up in the narrative. What happened to the mouse? Why is the mouse invisible? Why are you invisible? I cannot do this if you are invisible. What happened? Pardon. Fireworks. Sorry. All right, guys. No, I don't want fireworks. All right. So anyway, where we pick up, Aeneas has just witnessed the death of Priam, not being beaten to death with Hector's son, but just killed with a sword by the son of Achilles, the self-proclaimed son of Achilles. Priam doubts that he is the son of Achilles. Anyway, but then first, a savage horror surrounded me. Kind of cool that the word for horror is letter for letter the same in Latin and English. Obstipui. I stood amazed. I stood agape. I was dumbstruck. The image of my dear father entered. As I saw, Weni Witty Wiki, I came, I saw, I conquered. As I saw the equal-aged king, and that's a very unique vocab word, equal-aged. As I saw the equal-aged king exhaling his life from the cruel wound. So Aeneas' father is about the same age as Priam. Aeneas is not a son of Priam. Aeneas' wife, who will be mentioned shortly, is a daughter of Priam. So Aeneas kind of married into the royal family. So anyway, as I saw the king, the equal-aged king, exhaling his life from the cruel wound. And we can insert image again, the image of my deserted Creusa, and that's Aeneas' wife. The image of the deserted Creusa entered, and my plundered home, and the fate of little Iulus. And so Iulus is Aeneas' son. He goes on to found Alba Longa, which is like a neighboring settlement that Rome will eventually absorb. And Iulus is where Julius comes from. And Julius Caesar himself claimed to be descended from this particular, his whole family claimed to be descended from this son of Aeneas. So in real life, Julius Caesar would walk around and say that he was descended from him, who is the grandson of Venus, because we all know that Aeneas' mother was Venus. So Julius Caesar claimed to be descended from Venus, the goddess of love. And that's a fact. He literally did that. So anyway, and the fate of little Iulus. I look back. And I survey what forces are around me. So remember, he had been with Trojans. They had just a thrown together pack of Trojan warriors, and they were going around the city trying to do what they could to fight the Greeks. So I look back and I survey what troops are around me. Everyone weary has left or has departed and sent. And I apologize because it gets a little dark here. And sent their bodies to the ground by jumping. This is one of the most obscure grammar things that exist in Latin, called the supine, but by jumping is essentially how it translates. And sent their bodies to the ground by jumping, or given them weary to the flames. So, Aeneas is essentially alone. He was, so focused on witnessing the death of Priam. Now he thinks about his own family, and he is. All of his comrades have either jumped off the building to their deaths, or voluntarily given themselves to the flames. So this is a fun one. Sorry, but yeah, pretty tragic. And then in this next part, we'll get into what's called the Helen episode. We're not going to do that today. People, actually, it's in brackets here because people don't think that Virgil may have actually written this next part. But he witnesses Helen, who caused the whole war. And yeah, he has to figure out what he wants to do, because he's obviously filled with a ton of emotion, and whether or not he should kill her. But anyway, that's the death of Priam, and yeah, all right. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you guys soon. I promise. All right, Walite, smash that like button. See ya.